basically, how big is the umbrella in terms of tolerance, and specifically, it sort of takes us back. We have, as a couple have indicated, nobody can fully represent a religious tradition, but we basically have three monotheistic religious spokespersons here. What about those who are not either unbelievers or polytheists or some other denomination or version?
The answer is as big as the planet on which we live. And this is where, and again I use the word eschatology, this planet is not just evolving, it's being cured and healed. Something went seriously wrong. Now, you can read C.S. Lewis's ideas about how that happened. You can read all sorts of work on the mythologies of this. But the bottom line is that while there is much that is good and beautiful about this planet, there's something that is not right. Now, if in fact God is at work putting it right, there are no exceptions. And this umbrella you talk about is limited only by the size of the planet. You mentioned Native American religion. That I find profoundly helpful in understanding the planet to begin with. A religious denomination that hasn't been mentioned yet tonight, but with whom I have had, over the years, some very rich communion, and that is the Baha'i faith. I don't know if anyone represents the Baha'i faith here tonight, but that is also a religion that continues to be very rigorously persecuted in its home country of Iran. Okay? And yet, they are talking about their prophet, Baha'u'llah, bringing a message of universal peace and love and education. Okay? So all of these things, I think, open windows. My short answer would be no limits.
From the Islamic perspective, people share the same right. Islam gives the individuals, the human being, the right to choose for themselves. So, while people practicing different belief, we have to be all tolerant, as he said. And we have to deal with each other. And you feeling that you are wrong, it doesn't mean that others, feeling that you are right, it doesn't mean that others are wrong. So from the Islamic perspective, Muslim they have to respect any non-Muslim. Well, they give special attention to the people of the book. They eat their food and they marry from them. They consider them as very close people to them, but they respect the other. And since we are responsible about our decision, well, some of us will enjoy the benefit and some people will suffer the consequence.
So let me just add one other piece to that. So we're talking about the umbrella of tolerance, and we're all three of us saying there's no limit to the umbrella of tolerance because the United States demands it, right? I mean, in other countries, of course, there's no tolerance. But is that really the standard we're looking for? Is tolerance? I would ask the question, and I'm not going to literally ask it, but I would say if you really want to know how broad the umbrella of tolerance is, don't ask it of people who live in a country where they can't do anything about their deepest theological drives. Right? Ask them instead, what happens to people who don't believe like you when they die? And then you find out how tolerant people really are. Right? I mean, I was at a workshop over at years ago here at the Baptist Student Center, and it was a panel of pastors in different Protestant denominations talking about who had the true baptism. Was it dunking? Was it sprinkling? Was it, different ways, I guess, to do baptism? And for them, it was a matter of eternal life, that if you were dunked and you should have been sprinkled, and you should have been fully immersed, your soul is not saved and you are in big trouble. And so even among these Protestant denominations of Christianity, that, yes, they tolerated everyone, but when someone died, then we'll see who's right. So I think you have to make that distinction. And the way to get at it is to ask people, so in your faith, what happens to
interesting that when James Madison was on the committee to draw up the Virginia Declaration of Rights, there was actually the original provision called for